Hey, listen to Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and MPR. As always, I'm Grady, and live on Skype we got Josh.
Hey.
Let's kick it off by heading over to SmackDown. It looks like the feud between Reigns and Corbin and the associated stables might have come full circle, but might still be continuing. Bloodline were able to pick up the win in the six-man tag in the main event, and as a part of that stipulation, they made King Corbin eat some dog food.
Yeah, I think that's the end of the feud.
It feels like we just neatly tied it up with a bow.
Yeah. I'm still looking forward to SmackDown on Friday night, because Baron Corbin is from Kansas City, who just won the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And they're in the Bay Area on Friday night, which is the area in which the losing team, the 49ers, is from.
Yeah.
The heat that it makes me remember the heat that Kevin Owens and Elias got in Seattle that one night. And I think it's going to dwarf it by leaps and bounds, because people actually legitimately hate Baron Corbin.
It might be a nice and convenient way, since he just lost his feud with Roman Reigns. It's not like anyone hates him any less. He's still just as credible as everything else, and still just as hated as well. And I also look forward to sometime before this airs, so we'll talk about it next week. Just how deafening it was, how many decibels in the arena it was. But assuming that both of these guys are moving on to separate feuds, where do you think they are both heading?
I would say Elimination Chamber is up next.
Mm-hmm.
I think they'll probably be involved in an Elimination Chamber match for the world, either for the Universal Championship or to crown the number one contender for the Universal Championship.
I like that one a little bit more. I like the Elimination Chambers being used to set up number one contenders for WrestleMania. It always seemed like you had the Royal Rumble, winner of that got to pick which one, and then, and even if you didn't win the Royal Rumble, you get a chance. You just got to win Elimination Chamber, where they handpick people to go into it, usually.
Yeah, and I could easily see Corbin and Reigns being 2 of the 6 in that match.
Mm-hmm. If it was for a number one contendership, I'd also put my money on Reigns to win that.
I would, but I'm also interested, but there could be potentially a monkey thrown in that, to that, because apparently Goldberg has some kind of announcement on Friday.
That's true. Goldberg...
What if he challenges Roman Reigns to a match at WrestleMania? That completely changes everything.
That would be a monkey wrench. I've assumed that Goldberg's appearance this week, which has already happened, is purely to set up a match for something later in the month. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe he'll do a WrestleMania. Obviously, none of us know quite yet. Give us a couple days. But yeah, I don't know what Goldberg's... He came out of nowhere, and I feel like if we're pretty high on this Reigns Fiend thing, I don't know if we'd divert from that for Goldberg. Maybe we would. We have a brand new Intercontinental Champion.
Yeah. I'm not surprised. I think it's about time that Braun Strowman held some sort of singles title. So yeah, him holding the Intercontinental title works.
It was something that we were building towards for quite a while at this point. Like, I thought it might have happened at Royal Rumble. It obviously didn't. Didn't know when they were going to fully do the belt swap, but Shinsuke hadn't been doing a whole lot with it. Braun Strowman was hot on his heels, seemed to win in almost every encounter they had. The writing was on the wall.
Well, let's hope that since they have it on Braun now, that they do something with them in the title.
I don't know who you put next in front of Braun.
I don't know either, but it would be fun to watch them try to build somebody towards Braun. Or maybe that's where Baron Corbin goes.
Yeah. I was going to lean down to the microphone and go, what about Sheamus?
That's a possibility, too. But I think it would be a little early for Sheamus versus Braun.
I just want those two to clash. I feel like they'd put on a banger.
And I think they would as well. Just the question is that how credible do you want Sheamus to be before facing Braun?
It's true. Well, the downside between like a match with those guys, especially if it's going to happen like this month per se, is you don't want Braun Strowman to drop the belt already, and you don't want Sheamus to really derail any return momentum he's got. So it's either going to have to be a long one, a more drawn out feud between the two, or later on, or potentially not happen at all. Shouldn't really be a one and done. But we also have some tag team news to talk about coming out of SmackDown. Miz and Morrison managed to defeat Heavy Machinery, The Revival, and the Lucha House Party, and they will be taking on the New Day later on in the month for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they pull the trigger and put the titles on the reunited Miz and Morrison, who apparently are bringing the dirt sheet back. I don't know. I really don't. It's a case where I could easily see them putting the titles on Miz and Morrison, and it's a case where I could see them not doing it and doing something else.
I just love the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match here where you put, who will face the New Day? Will it be the team they've been feuding with for the past few weeks? Or will it be team involved in another storyline? Team we ignore that we have employed? Team I didn't even know was on SmackDown? It was always going to be Miz and Morrison versus the New Day.
Yeah, that was obvious.
But as you say, I don't know if the belts will be finding their home over there. To me, it comes down to how much longer are we going to stretch this out. Obviously, we got late February, but then we've also got Elimination Chamber, and then we've also got WrestleMania. I don't know what the New Day, what Miz and Morrison, what the SmackDown Tag Team division is going to look like heading into WrestleMania. Both brands' tag team divisions right now are hard for me to sort of predict what those marquee matches for the division is going to be.
Yeah, WrestleMania is a big question mark when it comes to the tag team divisions. And that includes the women.
Yeah. I can sort of throw darts at a board for pretty much like the main men's titles, the main women's titles. You can guess a couple other smaller matches that are going to happen. Those tag teams are just sort of all over the place.
Yeah. I honestly think that the WrestleMania tag team match for the Raw side is probably closer to being set in stone than any of the others.
Okay.
And that's because I think that it'll probably end up being AOP versus the Viking Experience. Viking Raider, sorry.
Don't speak that name.
That's their finisher name, so.
Nah, fair. But we do have... They're on Seth and Buddy at the moment, so are we swapping them to the Raiders to then defend them against AOP?
Oh, I forgot about that. That's how little I cared about Seth and Buddy winning.
But it was Buddy.
Yeah,
Buddy.
Seth. That's the problem.
To me, the big problem at the moment is Seth is your big heel on Raw. Like, I get Brock Lesnar is there. He's not there every week. Your big heel on Raw at the moment is Seth Rollins, and he's got one half of the tag team titles.
Fun fact, Brock Lesnar actually has been on Raw every week this year.
That's insanity, and I don't believe it. But I can't be bothered fact-checking it, so I will believe it. So what do you do with those tag team belts? Because Seth and Buddy ain't going to hold on to them for too long. I feel like it was Owens and Joe was sort of being set up, and then Joe gets knocked out with an injury. Now I don't know where it's going to go.
Yeah, I really don't know anymore. Now that I realize that the titles have changed hands already. Yep, we're back to square one. Yep,
no idea in any case. Let's just put like 4 teams from each brand in a random match. You just pin someone and pick a belt and run off with it. Biff the woman in there too, it'll be fun. But speaking of the woman, SmackDown looks to have got their next feud for their women's champion. Naomi making her return to SmackDown after the Royal Rumble and taking out Bayley and sort of setting her sights on that belt.
This should be interesting. Again, it's a case where I'm not sure if they want to pull that trigger and put it on Naomi.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I don't really know what they have planned for Bayley. Bayley just seems like a forgotten stepchild right now.
I'm gonna put on my conspiracy hat or my super reasoning hat and go with there was a reason she didn't lose at Rumble, because if the plan was to just drop it to Naomi, or if they had no plan, I feel like it would have headed towards Lacey. I think they made the conscious decision to keep it on Bayley for something they want to do in the future. What that thing in the future is, when it is, I don't quite know. The obvious pick is Sasha at WrestleMania. Will they go through with it? Will people care? Are two questions that I don't have the answer to.
Yeah, that's a whole series of big issues. Honestly, one person that has been missing for months, again, is Sasha Banks. Ever since Bayley won back her title and changed her personality and stuff, we haven't really seen Sasha.
She's floated in and out, and I think they've been like, oh, she's off doing her record label stuff, and oh, now she's doing this, and I think she might be injured at the moment, I'm not quite sure. But it's sort of just been one of those things that's continually teased, and it's like, well, based on what's going to be happening to the other two women's titles, presumably, are they going to pull that trigger and have those two go one-on-one at WrestleMania?
Yeah, it's definitely be. I think there's money in the match. There's not as much money now as there was, say, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But there's definitely money in having Bayley versus Sasha.
And probably Sasha winning at a good guess. Just because I don't see Bayley keeping on hold of that title all the way through.
And then the question will become, can Sasha successfully defend the title?
No.
Because she won four Raw titles, but could not successfully defend it.
Yeah, she's got no hope. She'll lose the belt first time she has to put it on the line.
Yeah, because it'll be get Charlotte.
That's about halfway. Let's go to our entrance theme, and then when we come back, we'll talk about the women's division across Raw and the potential WrestleMania matches that we have lined up now. But the entrance theme we're going to play this week, which will make sense in probably about 5 to 10 minutes, is Ricochet's theme. And you're back with Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and MPR. I'm Grady, he's Josh. So I said we'd continue on with the women's divisions. Let's take a look then at Charlotte. She won the Royal Rumble. She got approached by Rhea Ripley on Raw, and then went down to NXT, sort of stuck a little stake in the ground and said, Rhea, we might be going at it at WrestleMania.
I'm perfectly fine with that. It's a different match. It puts Rhea over big time, regardless of outcome of the match, because of just the aura that Charlotte has.
I don't know what's gonna happen. So I've gone back because NXT, just airs before we record this. So sometimes it's hard to catch the full of what happened. But Charlotte goes down. She's sort of calling out Rhea. She told Bianca Belair that she's not as good as Charlotte. And it seemed almost like they were brewing a three-way feud there.
Well, there is a TakeOver pay-per-view in a couple weeks. What if we had Charlotte versus Bianca Belair, with Charlotte putting her Rumble win on the line against Bianca? Obviously, Charlotte would win, because that would be completely stupid of them. But it would still be a great match, and I think it would be something that would elevate Bianca as well. And then you get a Charlotte rub on 2 NXT stars rather than just 1.
Well, currently that show NXT TakeOver Portland on the 16th on Sunday, booked is the NXT Women's Championship, Rhea defending against Bianca, which I think is why Bianca was involved in the segment. She was sort of going, well, why are you challenging Rhea at WrestleMania? I might win it before then.
Yeah, that makes more sense. But man, I would love to see a Charlotte versus Bianca Belair match.
And I wonder, do we get a triple threat? Does Charlotte interfere at TakeOver, leading to a triple threat?
I'll say no.
Okay.
Because I think, in this case, I think that it would be best to do one-on-one. Okay. I don't think... While it would probably be a great match, I think the overall story would probably be hurt more. And so I think this time they want Charlotte in a singles match.
Okay.
Because outside of Asuka, what WrestleMania match has Charlotte had in the last 5 years that was a singles match?
True. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Maybe Bianca Belair beats Rhea clean, and Bianca takes the title, and Charlotte Bianca is our WrestleMania match. There is possibilities.
Yes, yeah, I suppose there is.
Unlikely, but possibilities. Now I gotta jump back off this NXT TakeOver thing. Where were we? We were on Raw. But also, still in the women's division, that leaves Becky Lynch without a WrestleMania challenger.
Yeah, I still think the writing's on the wall. It was just a matter of getting there.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe wholeheartedly we're going to see the Queen of Spades versus the Man.
Well, this week on Raw, Asuka defeated Natalya and then challenged Becky Lynch for yet another rematch, and I believe Becky gave it to her. So we're going to be getting one more Asuka Lynch fight. Once again, tying up the women's tag team titles from being defended for a little while. But I think maybe after that one is when we hit the full transition button into Shayna Baszler. I wouldn't be surprised if she showed up after that championship match. But talking about championship matches that have been set up, the main event of Raw, it was Ricochet versus Seth Rollins versus Bobby Lashley. The winner faces Brock Lesnar later on in February for the WWE Championship. And your boy ended up winning.
Woo! And now, let's woo. Because I know that means that at the end of the month he's going to be murdered in the Middle East.
Yeah. Good luck.
That said, I think it'll still be an interesting match, and I think with the more athletic guys, Brock typically has pretty good matches. Just have to look at AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan, Finn Balor. It's kind of those kind of ilk of guys. They've had pretty good matches with the Beast. They've all fallen to the Beast, but they've had great matches with them.
Yeah, honestly, Brock's been... I don't want to say this is going to sound like I'm dissing him previously, but Brock's putting in the work at the moment. He's having banger after banger. As you say, he's shown up every week. I'm believing you in that and repeating it as fact now. It's not necessarily the Brock of old. It's almost like a Brock who now wants competition. He came out and he attacked Ricochet after Ricochet won. He's actively going after people. He put himself number 1 in the Royal Rumble for seemingly no reason, except to have some fun and play around and mess up some people. So this is less of a defensive Brock, and this is way more of an offensive Brock, which is scary.
Yeah, that should frighten you for your boy at WrestleMania.
No.
That said, isn't it neat that the next 2 opponents for Brock is our boys?
Yeah, there's been a couple of good coincidences recently on things are looking up for my boys and things are looking up for your boys. We've had some good windfalls lately. Obviously, they teamed together to eliminate Brock from the Rumble, and now they are both in Brock's sights. I don't know if we should be celebrating the fact that they're in Brock Lesnar's sights, but we are.
Honestly, we're about 2 months out now
Mm-hmm.
from WrestleMania. I can totally see Drew coming out with the WWE Championship.
Yes, just say that to me every week. Reassure me every week.
It would be a huge moment.
You're not allowed to bait me like this. You have to mean it. But we've got a couple other things to talk about before we run out of time. Ruby Riott returns to Raw and attacks Liv Morgan after she defeated Lana, seemingly separating that feud, the Liv, Lana, Rusev, Lashley thing that sort of just now has faded off.
Who knows? One thing's for sure, certain. We're definitely not getting a return of the Riot Squad.
Maybe they just like to attack each other.
Now, if there's somebody who's an injury really hurt, because I really think Ruby would have been a major player in this year's WrestleMania plans had she not gotten hurt.
Yeah. It all looked on the upswing when she went down.
So we'll have to see how they build her from here, but it definitely was a great sign that they're not just going to lump her back together with her former Riot Squad brethren, who are all out in Raw, by the way, just as a reminder.
Maybe it'll happen. I doubt it. Maybe it'll happen.
Yeah. So yeah.
WWE loves to group people together based on their shared backgrounds. Completely unrelated, let's transition to talk into the fact that Zelina Vega brought Angel Garza to Raw to attack Rey Mysterio to further continue Humberto versus Andrade by having Mysterio versus Garza.
Well, the reason for that is because Garza is actually Humberto's cousin.
It gets more and more tangled. What sort of fatal four-way match are we going to have at WrestleMania?
I don't think we'll have a fatal four-way.
You going with a one-on-one?
I'm going with the one-on-one. But yeah, we're definitely interesting. It's definitely interesting from here. Because I still think Rey Mysterio is going to probably be doing something with his son at WrestleMania. I think that'll probably also be Rey's retirement match.
Yeah.
And he'll pass the mask on to his son.
So, Rey, Dominic, Andrade, Humberto, Garza floats back down to NXT once 30 days are up.
He'll be there that weekend anyway, because he'll have to defend the NXT Cruiserweight Championship.
Well, Jordan Devlin over in NXT UK might be doing that, but he'll be hanging around. What else we got? We got like a minute. Aleister Black defeats a rare sighting of Eric Young.
Now there's a disappointment.
Do you remember how hype everybody was?
Yeah. And Sanity went nowhere once it got called up. Although I think part of that was because of injuries.
Yeah, Sanity crumbled.
Yeah. The big problem that they put him on the same show as Daniel Bryan. Even though Daniel Bryan wasn't wrestling at the time. Because he was still retired. It just made people remember that he was just that Eric Young was often a discount Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, I'm looking at it, and you go, what's left of Sanity? Nikki Cross obviously did well, but she wasn't in the original call-up. Eric Young just disappears for days on end. He's not EC3 level ignored, but he's pretty well ignored. One of them's over on NXT UK with Imperium, and Killian Dane I haven't seen for a while. So I don't know what's up with them. Of course, Killian Dane was on this week's NXT. Well, you can't retract statements once you've recorded it. So there's Killian Dane losing to Dominik Dijakovic. I do remember the last thing I want to mention before we run out of time. NXT main event. The Velveteen Dream returns.
Yeah, so let's say that Adam Cole somehow manages to retain his title at Portland.
Against Ciampa.
Yeah. We could easily see Dream versus Cole for the title at the TakeOver Tampa.
100%. I think that's the collision course. I think that belt will be around Velveteen Dream's waist in a couple months.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely the plan, and I think if the tag team titles are being defended at this takeover, I have the card pulled up, so I don't know.
Undisputed Era versus Broserweights, because they won the Dusty Classic.
I think they fall. I think the titles fall from them, but somehow Adam Cole holds on to his title.
Mm-hmm.
And then Adam Cole falls to the Velveteen Dream, and the Undisputed Era is done in NXT.
And then I cry a single tear. Alright, well, that is enough of us spattering around predictions. We're out of time. It's been great talking to you.
Bye-bye.
You can visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/WrestlingRadio, Twitter page, twitter.com/WrestlingRadio, and we'll see you next week.